Hi there, welcome back to the Small Biz Chat podcast. Now it's time for me to introduce my guest, Keenan Fisher. He's the managing partner of Tommy Guns, a Canadian-based barbershop and grooming salon known for its commitment to providing a unique and exceptional grooming experience. Keenan has revolutionized the modern barbershop experience while building a thriving franchise across Canada and beyond. Keenan's business journey began at 12. He helped his family's dog treat factory, and later his family founded charter salons. That early exposure to business gave him the foundation to carve the path in the barbershop industry. His vision led to the creation of Tommy Guns, a brand that merges traditional barbering with a modern touch. For more information, go to us.tommyguns.com. Hi, Keenan. Welcome to the Small Biz Chat podcast.
Thanks, Melinda. Excited to be here today. Appreciate it.
All right. So tell us about Tommy Guns. I kind of get my hair done in a more different kind of salon than the one that you run. So tell me about how your business works.
Absolutely. So we started Tommy Guns because we saw a big gap in the marketplace. And in our industry, you basically had two options. You could go somewhere convenient that wasn't the experience you wanted, but it was available today. Or if you wanted to go somewhere with a great experience, you had to book 4 to 6 weeks out. And us guys, we're not typically great at planning ahead. We usually say, oh, I got a date tonight or a meeting tomorrow and I need to get my hair done. And so with that type of planning, we typically weren't getting the experience we deserve. So we went out to set up a concept where you could get an ultimate barber experience from start to finish, but when you want it. So we integrated technology where you could get in a queue system the day you need your hair done and need your service and still get a great and elevated experience without having to compromise.
All right. So tell me, how many years did you run your business before you turned it into a franchise?
So we're a bit unique in the fact that we had a franchise background prior to Tommy Guns. So when we started Tommy Guns, we were intent on creating a franchise-based model from day one. So essentially, we had that in mind from the onset. Mm-hmm. But you can't obviously just franchise based off an idea because you're selling a business model that's proven, right? That's the benefit of franchising is, the franchisor paid the learning tax of figuring out and made the mistakes and built out the systems that work. So we started with our first location in Red Deer, Alberta, which is a small Canadian town. And we opened the first year and we doubled our initial budget. So, we're high fives all around, feeling pretty good about ourselves. And but knew from our experience that, okay, just because you're, successful with one location doesn't mean you can be successful with many. So we built a strategy where we essentially started franchising, but we franchised within our inner circle. So people that we were already doing business with. And we went into multiple different types of markets and different types of real estate to see how the concept would take. Because what we needed to understand is, that we weren't the reason it was successful at being in our home market where we lived, promoting it to our friends and family, and that it was a scalable and expandable type business where the market was big enough to grow. So we went to about 5 different markets under that strategy, and luckily they were all successful. Right. So we learned a lot through that process. We built out systems and training and marketing programs, learned how different markets function. And once we got to that point, then we knew, okay, now we have something that we really believe we can scale on. And our big focus was building in our systems in place so that as we scale, they can keep up and have the proper level of training and support to make sure that those franchise partners are very successful as they open.
So how long did that whole process take? Like, how long did it take you to get 5 that were all rocking on all cylinders before you said, all right, we're ready. Now we're ready to go to market with the franchise?
That was about a 4-year process.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we pressed go and then kind of expanded out that network.
All right. So how many franchisees do you have now?
So we have about 40 franchisees across over 100 locations. So 80% of our franchise partners are multi-unit, which was a big thing for us as we weren't selling a job, we were selling a business they could operate, right? So by doing that, then you have a scalable system. So and that's been our best validator as well. We've always granted single unit operators, and then because of the success, they've wanted to reinvest, and we're obviously excited to grow with our existing people and been able to expand off of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I love how you talked about the initial phase where you said you had to go out and get five because you wanted to prove that this thing worked in different shapes and sizes, right? So, what kind of experts did you rely on when you decided to turn this thing into a franchise? Because even though you knew franchising, you still needed some help, right?
Absolutely. We still need help today all the time. We're always learning. So, you know, I'm a big believer in having a great and strong network around you and always looking to learn from not only within your industry, but from outside of it as well. Some of the key things we did was attending like IFA and CFA, which are the International Franchise Association and Canadian Franchise Association conferences. Those were incredible for us in making the right contacts and building our network. I'm not very shy, so I was reaching out to other leaders of franchise systems that I admired to see who would take my call and give advice and share best practices and share their wins and losses. So we're willing to pay our own learning tax on our own learning curve, but also wanted to learn from others as well. So you know, I think, you know, that you have to have the mindset of knowing that you're not going to know everything and you're going to have your learning situations. But if you can seek that information from the outside, that's going to accelerate your growth, right? And you'll make less mistakes internally because you can learn from others. And so we've taken that approach and continue to today, for sure.
So tell me though about like, did you have to have a, you know, franchise development consultant, your lawyer, your, you know, like your financing partner, like tell me about those kinds of partners that you had to have in the beginning.
100%. So great one you brought up is having a great franchise lawyer. And not every franchise lawyer is created equal. So it's very important to get references and vet out the proper franchise lawyer that's going to help you get to where you need to be. And there's lawyers out there that specialize that spend 100% of their time simply in the franchising space. And that's my biggest recommendation is get there early, have great and strong franchise agreements and a legal process. If you do that right from the onset, it saves a lot of problems later on. So that was a great one. And then access to capital is critical. So we worked hard early to create partnerships and alignments with different lending institutions that could provide bespoke and standardized programs for our franchise partners. So in the U.S., that's, you know, a lot of that is the SBA programs. In Canada, we have our CSBFP programs, which are a similar backed program where the banks have a separate backing. And those are critical in growth because without access to capital, you can't grow.
Got it. So that was good. So that was pretty much what you needed. Did you guys do your own franchise development because you kind of were familiar with the franchise world?
We did. So my approach to franchising, or our approach, is really, though, you do have to have lots of different lines in the water. So if you've ever been fishing, in the back of the fishing boat, you got 5 or 6 lines at different depths with different bait, and it's the same thing in franchising. So you exhaust your own network. You market to your customer base. You work with different franchise brokers. You do the franchise shows, and different lines work better at different times, right? You need to have as many touch points as you can, because it's not just about finding, you know, someone who wants to invest in your concept. You're also trying to find the right people. So you're going to talk to a lot of potential investors, potential franchise partners, before you get the right ones. And that's a real critical thing, again, especially for young franchisors, but really you never want to lose that. It's very hard to say no to someone that wants to cut a check for your shop if they're not the
right. Right.
In the early days, right? You're running a thin margin, but that's critically important, right? And we've had to do it where it's like, I could have really used that franchise fee, but
you were like, nope, thank you. Take your money and so did you guys do all your own recruitment, or do you guys have a firm that does your sales for you?
We do it mostly internally. And then we do a little bit of external as well, where we've created alignment with franchise brokers. And that's about all building our network as well. So we attend the shows, we meet all the brokers, we share what we do. And so you create those alliances, and then when they got individuals that are a great fit, they can typically bring them to you. And so a lot of franchisors too are scared away by paying the franchise broker fees, right? The big commissions, and
they get like what they get 60-70%. I mean, they get a good chunk, don't they?
It feels like a lot. It does, but I would say it's worth it, right? Because they're pre-vetting these individuals. So when you're doing it on your own, you got to do start to finish vetting. And then they're getting people where they've spent a lot of time with them. So by the time they get to you, there's a higher likelier chance that they're going to be a good fit. So it's worked great for us, but we've done all the different lanes, and we've got incredible operators through each and every one of them.
Okay. So that cost per acquisition cost, you're like, hey, you just got to pay it to get quality.
Yeah, you got to pay to play, I guess.
So talk to me about how do you handle franchisee feedback, right? Because everybody's not happy every day that they're a Tommy Gun franchisee. So how do you solicit feedback from them, and how do you respond to it?
Well, to me, it's incredibly important, right? So the magic doesn't happen in the boardroom in our business. It happens in the field, in the shops. That's really the business that we're in. So it's incredibly important for us to stay connected with it. So we're very proactive in that approach. So obviously you got to deal with the things that just come up out of the blue, where someone has a call and it's an unsolicited conversation. But we take a proactive approach. So we've developed a brand advisory council that's made up of elected franchise partners throughout our network. And we work hand in hand with them on an ongoing basis on how the business is going, what's working in our marketing fund, where's the feedback, what can we do better operationally. When we're building new programs, we're helping them engage in the process early, so that by the time it hits the street or gets out into the network, it's been vetted and tested and has a much higher chance of success. So to us, it's critical. Like, if we were to lose touch with what's happening at the shop level, it would be very hard for us to do a great job as a support office. So we're definitely go on the front foot on that and take a proactive approach and push the dialogue.
All right. And when we come back, I want to talk to you about the support systems that you have for your franchisees after the initial training. You are watching the Small Biz Chat podcast, and we will be right back. All right, Keenan. So I have another question for you. Tell me, what kinds of things do you do? Because I know that, when franchisees first sign up, they come for a week or two and they get trained or whatever. Like, what do you guys do on an ongoing basis, though, to support your franchisees?
Yeah, absolutely. So we obviously have the base, which I call the baseline. So you have your operations manual and your training systems and all that. But for us, we view it as a business partnership, and our role in the business is to support their success operationally, financially, and so on. So we take a real in-depth approach where we'll actually do one-on-one business analysis meetings where we're taking all the tools we've developed, all the systems, and doing a deep dive in their operational business, the financial support, or performance, and build out very detailed annualized plans for our business owners that they can execute on to improve the performance of their business. So we take a very hands-on approach. We have a robust operational and marketing team that works with the network to help them grow and execute at a high level. So we focus on operational excellence. And that's been our approach to the business versus just handing over materials and documents that they're supposed to follow. We have all those things, but we believe in a more hands-on approach and being that real true support arm to the business partners.
That's actually really impressive. I actually have not heard of anyone doing a one-on-one business analysis with their franchisees. That's really smart. So how many years now have you guys franchise been in existence?
So we are 2 weeks away from our 15th anniversary.
All right. The big 15. That's awesome. And so I would be remiss if I didn't ask, so how much does it cost to be a Tommy Gun franchisee? How much does it cost to be a Tommy Gun franchisee?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a somewhat market dependent because some markets are a little different. A big part of the cost is the build outs, but on average, a Tommy Guns to get in is in between 450 and 550,000. That's a turnkey investment, so it includes equipment, inventory, fees, building the shop out, all in.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. So, and people buy 2 or 3 from you at a time. Is that what you said?
Oftentimes they do. Yeah. And they typically start with one and it goes well and we go from there. So, yeah, over 80%, like I said before, are multi-unit, which for us is our best validation and compliment. We're always excited to grow with our existing group.
I love it. I love it. And last question, what is the best business advice anyone has ever given you?
The best business advice I ever had is just clearly to surround yourself with great people. You know, to be successful, you don't need to know everything. You don't need to be the smartest person in the world. You don't need to be the most skilled or talented, but you got to recognize your vision, recognize what you're good at, and then surround yourself with people that are supportive, want to elevate you and make up for the areas that you're not, particularly great in or aren't your strong points. So doing that, having multiple mentors, and just surrounding yourself with an amazing network. And that's been kind of my approach because of the advice I got early on in my life, mostly from my dad, to be clear. He was my first mentor and still is. And that's, he pushed that on me, I think probably since before I even understood what he was talking about. And that's by far the best advice I've ever had.
Yeah, well, my pop was my first business mentor too, so I can completely relate to advice that occurred to you later. Like, damn, that old man might have known what he was talking about, right? So, anyway, thank you so much for being a part of the Small Biz Chat podcast. Yeah, your advice was very, very helpful. So I know my audience will really appreciate it. And coming up, when we come back on the Small Biz Chat podcast, we're going to talk about real estate. We're going to talk about how to bolster your business with real estate potentially as your retirement plan. You're watching the Small Biz Chat podcast, and we'll be right back.
Are you ready to turn your dreams of entrepreneurship into a reality? Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, and I want to invite you to check out smallbizladyacademy.com. We're here to help you every step of the way with our comprehensive training program and expert resources. You'll learn how to start and grow a successful business that aligns with your passions and your goals. From business systems to sales strategies, we cover it all. Plus, our supportive community of fellow women business owners is here to cheer you on and provide guidance when you need it. Don't wait any longer to pursue your dreams. Join smallbizladyacademy.com today. We build businesses and we help you build the life you've always wanted.